They say politics is theatre, but lately in New York the main act feels like a soap opera that got written by Wall Street. Latest plot twist: US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent dropped a bomb in an interview, told New York City that under mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mamdani, the federal government would not bail out the city if his policies push it toward crisis. His words? Drop dead. Flat, brutal, straight-faced. And now every newsroom is scrambling to pass whether that's doctrine, threat, or just performative bluster. This is the episode of When a City Meets Ideology and Federal Muscle. So buckle up. We're going deep. What Bessent actually said. In a Fox Business interview, Bessent claimed he was certain that if Mamdani's proposed agenda passed, with free buses, rent freezes, city-owned groceries, higher taxes on the wealthy, New York would be in a position where it would need bailout help from Washington. But he made it clear, Washington would refuse. He invoked the infamous phrase "drop dead," attributing it to President Gerald Ford's handling of NYC in the 1970s. He said, "I guarantee you, New York City will be coming to the federal government for a bailout if the Mamdani plans are implemented." And when asked if that bailout would be granted, he replied, "It will be the same thing Gerald Ford said, drop dead." Ford never actually said those words. The phrase was applied by tabloid headlines back then. Bessent, using that line, is part political theatre, part threat. Bessent didn't specify which parts of Mamdani's platform he considered toxic economics, just that policies like this would lead to financial strain. Who is Zohran Mamdani, and what's on his agenda? Mamdani is 33, a Democratic Socialist candidate who just won the Democratic primary with 56% of the vote. His proposals include rent freezes for rent-stabilized tenants, free buses across the city, city-owned grocery stores, free childcare, tax increases on corporations and on New Yorkers earning over $1 million plus 2% surtax. Some of those policies require state approval. New York State has to sign off on tax changes, etc. Mamdani's vision is radical compared to recent NYC leadership. More city ownership, more redistribution, more public infrastructure. But he also faces structural constraints. State authority, fiscal oversight, bond markets, investor confidence. Why this drop-dead warning matters? Because it threatens the principle of federalism and bailouts as safety net. It's saying, if you swing too far left at the municipal level, you lose access to federal support. That's a message not just to Mamdani, to every mayor, every city contemplating bold public programs. It also weaponizes fear. Want free buses? Fine. But you'll risk insolvency and be told to drop dead. It chills ambition. It forces politicians to calibrate proposals not on needs, but on bailout risk. It also draws stark lines. Who gets support, who doesn't. What policies are acceptable modernization versus what is socialist overreach. Bessent's tone frames Mamdani's policies as irresponsible, radical, ungovernable. Important detail. Bessent is aligning the Treasury with Wall Street interests. If New York finances tank, bonds default, economic chaos, markets panic, yields soar, cost of borrowing spikes, the risk is not just to the city, but to national financial perception. By declaring no bailout, Bessent shifts risk downward, from Washington to NYC. It's a form of fiscal brinksmanship. Let the city crash, teach a lesson. The historical echo, 1970s NYC and drop dead. This isn't new. In 1975, NYC nearly declared bankruptcy. Ford's administration famously withheld support initially. Newspapers ran the headline, "Ford to City drop dead. The city limped to deals, state oversight boards, financial controls." Those events shaped how municipal finance is done now. Bond markets watch cities carefully, bailouts aren't casual, states impose fiscal discipline boards, credit ratings govern what local governments can propose. Bessent invoking that era is more than nostalgic. It's a warning, back to 1975 if the city overreaches. Gaslight plus debt board threat equals political intimidation. Politics, media and messaging spin. Immediately after Bessent's interview, media outlets lit up with alarm. Headlines framed Mamdani as radical, finances as fragile, Treasury as firm. The narrative being pushed: if Mamdani wins, NYC will collapse. That becomes a political weapon for opponents. On social media, supporters of Mamdani counter, "Let them drop dead. The system already forgets poor NYC." Others mock Bessent for repeating tabloid lines, using fear-mongering in the guise of fiscal prudence. Some conservatives nodded that it's a warning: no free lunches for leftist mayors. Meanwhile, Mamdani's team may choose to lean into the crisis, paint Bessent as a federal bully, resisting democratic will. Use this to mobilize support among those angry at federal overreach. Trump and his base will amplify: "There you go. Socialism fails. No bailout. Socialist mayor will bankrupt the city." Bessent's words give ammunition to critics. This becomes a messaging war. Is Mamdani a visionary or a fiscal arsonist? Did Bessent protect taxpayer interests or threaten democracy? Economic realities and constraints. Let's get real. NYC has enormous fixed costs: pensions, Medicare obligations, public benefit programs, infrastructure, public transport. The city's revenue base is under strain when people leave, when businesses relocate to tax-friendly suburbs. A suite of radical policies needs capital. Free buses, city grocery stores. You need subsidies, planning, infrastructure. That means borrowing, taxation, or cuts elsewhere. If you overpromise and underfund, you risk service collapse or default. Also, bond markets are unforgiving. If NYC signals it can't meet obligations, its interest rates rise. Debt yields spike. It becomes more expensive to borrow. That degrades all financial capacity. State government plays a role. If Albany resists tax increases or revenue sharing, NYC is constrained. Manhattan profits, Wall Street levers, state-city politics all collide. So yes, some of the concerns may have foundation. Policies must be balanced with financial sustainability, but using fear language like "drop dead" is rhetorical escalation. The moral, ideological fight. This is more than finance. It's ideology. The fight between public investment, redistribution, municipal socialism versus taxpayer restraint, market confidence, federal backstops. Mamdani's platform reflects a rising class anger, inequality, affordability crises, homelessness, failing transit, lack of economic mobility. He's tapping into a city that feels squeezed. Bessent's statement is a counter: "These ambitions must have guardrails or I won't support you." It communicates who holds power: states, treasury, lenders, and who answers. This contest also asks, can bold urban governance exist under centralized fiscal control, or must cities forever be cautious, measured, moderate, because Washington won't bail them out if they swing big? It's also a test of democracy. If voters choose Mamdani, are they also choosing federal punishment? Does federal power become a veto over municipal politics? That's a strain on federalism. What to watch next? Will Mamdani respond forcefully? Will he lean into the defiance narrative or tone down his platform? Who replaces or supports him in his campaign? Fiscal advisors? High-income neighborhood negotiators? Credit market signals? Will NYC bond yields move? Will rating agencies issue warnings? Federal actions? Will Treasury take steps like withholding funds, delaying grants, issuing austerity oversight? State power? Will Governor Hochul or Albany intervene to override parts of Mamdani's agenda? Media framing. Will Bessent's drop-dead line become central to decision-making, used to frame every policy question? Will voters react to fear or to hope? Will this threat alienate or energize Mamdani's base? So here's where we land. Bessent told New York it can drop dead if it elects Mamdani. That's not just dollar diplomacy, it's ideological intimidation. He didn't say, "We'll struggle to assist." He didn't say, "We might reduce support." He said, "Drop dead." That's provocative, visceral, meant to signal that federal support is conditional on ideological fealty. If Mamdani wins, he may govern under constant threat. His most ambitious ideas will be tethered not to voters but to Treasury's tolerance. Every vote, every programme will be shadowed by that threat. It's like playing high-stakes poker with your city assets as the chips, and Bessent holding the fold button. For some, this is necessary defence. If you propose radical policy, you must recognise financial boundaries. For others, this is bullying, a city's democratic choice being held hostage by federal might. Either way, it's not just a campaign moment, it's a test of who truly governs, the voters or the Treasury. Not left, not right, just real. And real politics sometimes talk drop dead, and hope the city still stands when the smoke clears.